I was 32 when I realized money doesn't buy love. It only rents silence. My name is Rebecca Hayes. I run a successful accounting firm in Portland. I don't do drama. I solve problems, balance spreadsheets, forecast budgets. People like me don't get attention. We get relied on. That's the difference. So when my younger brother Daniel got engaged to Madison, all blonde curls, Pinterest boards, and subtle put-downs, I told myself this was my shot to finally belong. To not just show up, but matter. I offered to pay for everything: the venue, the catering, the flowers, the photography. Even the 7-piece band, they just had to have 6 months of deposits, meetings, contracts. I negotiated like a pro, saved them thousands. I figured maybe this would be the moment my family finally looked at me and saw something more than a financial safety net. The rehearsal dinner was held at a trendy rooftop bar downtown. I showed up in a navy dress, heels that pinched, and a gift bag with monogrammed champagne flutes I had custom made. I wanted it to be perfect. That's when Madison pulled me aside, her voice syrupy and fake. "Rebecca, we've been thinking. Tomorrow's going to have a very specific aesthetic." And she glanced at my dress. "You don't exactly fit the vibe." I blinked. "Excuse me." She put a hand on my arm like she was comforting a dying patient. "It's just, you're more of a behind-the-scenes type, right? You've been amazing, seriously. But for the ceremony itself, it's going to be super curated. Please don't make this harder than it needs to be." I looked across the rooftop at Daniel. He didn't even look in my direction. An hour later, I received a text from him. Just 7 words: "Please don't make this harder than it needs to be." That's when I knew. They hadn't just forgotten me. They'd used me. I sat in my car for 10 minutes, parked outside the bar, watching through the windshield as laughter drifted down from the rooftop. No one noticed I was gone. Then I opened my phone, scrolled to the catering manager's contact, pressed dial. "Hi, this is Rebecca Hayes. Yes, I'm the one who signed all the contracts. I need to cancel tomorrow's delivery immediately." Her voice crackled with confusion. "But the wedding's tomorrow." "I'm aware," I said. "But here's the thing. I'm no longer invited." I didn't sleep that night. Not out of regret, but because I was awake in a way I hadn't been in years. For so long, I'd moved like a shadow in my own family. Reliable, responsible, invisible. But that night, I remembered every line I'd signed, every invoice I'd approved, every vendor who had my name and not Madison's. The next morning, I started with the florist, Rebecca. She answered brightly. "We just received some changes from Madison. She wants to replace the white orchids with blush peonies and she doesn't have authority," I said. "The contract is with me, a pause." Then, "Oh, I see. I'm canceling the delivery. Please redirect the refund to the original card on file, one by one." I went down the list: the band, the photographer, the lighting designer, even the luxury car service Madison had sneakily upgraded. Behind my back, each call made me feel less like a used checkbook and more like someone finally reading her own name on the page. By noon, the texts started. First from Madison: "Hey babe, I heard you're having a moment. Can we talk?" Then from Daniel: "Don't do this. You're making a scene." But the one that hit hardest was from my mother: "Rebecca, please, be the bigger person. This isn't worth tearing the family apart." That sentence broke something in me, because what it really meant was, let them mistreat you. Swallow the insult. Pay the bill. Smile anyway. No one said, "You were right." No one said, "I'm sorry they excluded you." I wasn't a person to them. I was a function. A fixture. I stared at the message, heart pounding. Then I opened my laptop and reviewed every contract, every deposit, every cancellation clause. I started documenting it all, not for revenge, but for peace. And when Jake showed up at my door with Thai food and 2 bottles of wine, I didn't say a word at first. He just looked at me, took 1 bite, and said, "You know you're not their sister, right?" I blinked. "What?" "You're their ATM." He took another bite. "You were only invited to the planning, not the celebration." Something in me snapped clean. I put down my glass, picked up my phone, and blocked every number tied to the wedding. No warning, no explanation. Let the silence speak. Saturday morning arrived with the kind of chill that crawls under your skin and stays. I sat on my couch, barefoot, sipping coffee, watching the steam rise while my phone stayed blissfully silent. Until it wasn't. A frantic knock rattled the door like it owed them money. I didn't even flinch. I already knew who it would be. I opened the door to find all 4 of them, Madison, Daniel, Mom, and Dad, standing there like a delegation from the United Nations of Entitlement. Madison's mascara was already smudging. "Rebecca, we need to talk." "I bet you do," I said, stepping aside, but not inviting them in. They poured into my living room like smoke. Daniel looked tired. My parents looked embarrassed. Madison looked like she hadn't slept. "Everyone's arriving at the venue," she began, "and the florist says they never got confirmation." "They didn't," I said calmly, "because I canceled it." "You what?" I stood still. Let the question hang in the air like a rotten scent. Daniel finally spoke. "Rebecca, this is our wedding. You can't just..." "No," I cut in. "You're right. You can't just throw me away and expect me to stay quiet. You can't just treat me like a donor and a stranger in the same breath." I opened a folder I'd already placed on the coffee table. Inside were printed screenshots of texts, emails, invoices, all with my name. I slid them toward Madison. "You didn't just exclude me. You tried to take over contracts you had no legal right to. And you failed." Madison's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. My mother tried to interject. "Rebecca, you're blowing this out of proportion." "No, Mom, for the first time in 32 years, I'm getting the proportions exactly right." Daniel looked at the floor, then back at me. "So it's really off." "Everything?" I nodded. "You'll have exactly what you asked for. A wedding without me. No screaming. No slamming doors. Just the cold, clinical precision of someone who's done being erased." They left 10 minutes later, hollow and stunned. I didn't chase. By afternoon, vendors had officially pulled out. Guests were rerouted or told to stay home. The venue was locked. The dream collapsed. I booked a 2-week trip to Italy that evening. Used the exact amount I would have wasted on people who thought I was a receipt with legs. Months later, Daniel and Madison had a tiny courthouse wedding. No band, no flowers, no family drama. She didn't apologize. But she never dared exclude me again. And that was enough, because when I walked into their second wedding as a quiet guest in a burgundy dress, they stood up to greet me. Not out of love, out of fear. Now I drink my coffee in peace. I fund my life, not theirs. And if anyone ever asks me what I learned, I'll tell them this. Love without respect is just manipulation, and family without boundaries is just exploitation.